Hey, Cam Hiltz.
Billy Baker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the reluctant.
We're
reluctant.
related. I told you.
We're related, yeah.
And I have been friends a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At first we weren't because he thought I was
Right.
cutting in on stuff, and I probably was.
He was.
But
He was, but I forgave him.
yeah, he forgave me.
Yeah.
How long is a long
Plus,
time?
plus we're from down east together. So
Right.
when he found that out,
40 years, 35 years. But I was one of the first guys in the garbage
Oh,
business in Canada.
yes.
And then he watched what I was doing and then kind of started
I
sneaking
didn't
into
watch.
it.
I
and
didn't
got
even
into
know
the
where you
garbage
were, who
business.
you were.
Yeah.
Found
Oh,
a trash
bullshit.
can one day.
That's
No,
right.
No, I dropped into Ron McKinnon's office.
And I was hauling for Miller.
No, you were hauling paper. I wanted to haul trash. I had a trash trailer.
Well,
didn't know anything about
I did
paper.
both. I was the only guy who loaded both ways.
So is that what you started doing?
No, I ran the highway for
Yeah.
probably 17 years. Came off the highway and I went and bought a garbage trailer. It wasn't common in Canada. 19.
How many years? How
87?
many years? Oh, I get it.
So how old were you when you started driving?
16. Yeah, I was running the West Coast at 17 years
I
old,
was younger.
like Vancouver in the mountains. That's where I learned how to drive. If you didn't learn how to drive there, you were never coming home.
Did you just decide I'm going to be a trucker, or did your
Grade 9, I went into grade 9 in
Yeah.
school, and I said,
That's it.
what am I doing here?
Yeah.
I ain't do shit here. I hate school. I went to work for this guy. He hired younger guys. He was my uncle, and we worked there for about a year in his shop. But I worked for him previous to that. And then he put me basically in a truck at 17 years old, and I was running Montreal and shit. And then I progressed to like Vancouver, like in the mountains, and in an old B model Mack. Like I hauled wide loads. We hauled boats, big boats, like 48, 50-foot boats, like 14 feet wide. I'm 17, 18. I do pride myself, out of all the years that I've been driving. I mean, we watch what's that winter road show?
Oh,
Ice Road
yeah,
Truckers. I've been on way worse roads than they've been on. Like, you run BC in the wintertime, the road was a single lane road as wide as that there. There's 12,000 feet down. If you went off the edge, you weren't coming back. So you better learn to respect, in the States it's all 4 lanes.
Yeah.
You ain't coming back, you make a mistake. And I mean, the ice avalanches coming down, you think it's snow, it's chunks of ice, they're like rocks. Like, I'm telling you, and to touch wood, I figure I've run probably about 5 million miles in my life so far.
Yeah.
Accident free. I pride myself on that. That, I don't know, being so defensive. I drove a race car. I had a race car for about 15 years. And after about 3-4 years, the one guy knew me well in the pits. He comes over to me and says, Baker, you ain't never gonna make a race car driver.
Mm-hmm.
Why? He says, you're too defensive. Because I could see something going on up ahead, so I would slow down. Like,
Back off.
he said, no, you got to go for the hole. Like, and he said, you ain't a race car driver till you went on your lid, like rolled the car or went on lid. It wasn't like 3 weeks later, I destroyed the car, upside down, flipped, end over end, this, that. Come to the pits. I mean, you're in a race car, you got 5-pin harness.
What
you're,
track
you're
was that,
pretty.
Bill?
Ransomville, New York.
Oh.
So was that early in your trucking career? I'm assuming?
That was in my 30s, you know. And he comes over and he says, now you're a race car driver, he said.
did
You
he?
went on your lid.
Yeah, yeah.
And after that, I started doing well, but I was too defensive
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of the truck. Like,
You don't
that
wanna- you
didn't
don't
work
wanna
with
touch
racing.
nothing.
Yeah, because we look far ahead.
And you leave that in the race car when you get out.
Exactly, you have to.
Yes, you look far ahead. I say that to my boys. It's
I
like
watch a
it's
mile ahead. A mile ahead of a guy, you can see
Yes.
brake lights. I left off the field a little bit. You take the momentum away.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as you take that momentum away, you can slow down a lot quicker.
Yes.
And that's like crossroads. When I go by crossroads, I lift a little bit at a crossroad, and I'm looking
Yeah.
both ways if they don't, got stops. But most guys just stay right on it.
Yeah. All the time.
But if you just lift that little bit, it just takes that little bit. That might gain you another 1,000 feet of stopping. I mean, so yeah, I pride myself on accident-free and all those miles. I mean, not a lot of people can say that.
And what was the first truck you owned? And how old were you?
The first truck I owned was a 1974 White Road Boss. Back then, I mean, we just wanted to drive a truck. I mean, we were happy. We didn't care. I mean, today,
you had a road boss with a sleeper?
It was a day cab,
Oh, take it.
and I was running Vancouver with it, and I stopped in New Liskard at Ray's at Micmac and got to know him, and he
Oh,
built
yeah,
me a
yeah,
little
yeah.
48-inch high-rise for
I
it.
remember those road bosses
Yeah.
hauling the boats.
Yep.
Better
I
than a
was
V
19 years old. That was my first, and I showed you a picture of my second truck. I paid that truck. I paid $17,000 for that truck. My mom used to go, how can you remember how much you paid for that truck?
Yeah.
That's one thing I remember what I paid for trucks,
Yeah.
like even back then.
The Kenworth was 26,000 in 1974.
Yeah.
Canadian.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and that's
bought it new?
Canadian.
Canadian, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
mine was used.
And how long did you have it?
I think I had it 2 years. I paid for it, and then I bought that '79 Pete. I paid $38,000 for it.
The cab over.
The cab over when I was down in Texas, and that was 22 years old then, and that was like,
Big jump.
oh, I can't remember. You're like 81, 82. And I had that for about 3 years, and then I ordered the Western Star, and that was my first brand new truck in 1984 that I bought. And I was on the Shell Super Rigs calendar with it.
And you were in your mid-20s,
I was 24.
ordering a brand new truck.
Brand new truck, $62,000. I couldn't afford a Pete, so I bought the Western Star. It was like 15 grand more, so.
And what are you hauling at this point? Still.
I pulled the reefer. I was running Laredo and California and stuff, and hauling produce back to Toronto. You know, we'd load out of Nogales or we'd load out of McAllen or whatever, and back to Toronto every week,
Wow.
one a week. You know, it was like 4,000 miles a week, unloading and loading produce, meat and produce. I mean, that was a hard week. Couldn't do it today on an E-log. Couldn't truck that way, but you laid down for 2-3 hours and get right back at it. But oh, that was 84, 85, and then I wanted to come off the highway. Was getting tired of the highway, getting tired. And the guy made me an opportunity. Wanted me to haul garbage for him. So garbage trailers weren't in Canada, and I went and bought this garbage trailer, a Canadian garbage trailer that was first built. And it was,
Universal, what was it?
no, from Huntsville, Fanotech.
Oh, Fanotech.
Yep, through Hugh McVeters. He was the salesman for him. I think that was $68,000. I was broke, had my old truck. I go, what am I going to do? Why am I
Was that
spending
going
this
to
money?
New York, that garbage?
No, I was hauling out of Queenston to Steatley for the quarry, the stone quarry.
Oh,
And then I started hauling for the guys in Toronto because they seen me there. Said, can you help us out? So I started helping them out a little bit on weekends and shit. Then we met a guy from Buffalo that wanted to haul. We were one of the first guys hauling the garbage to the United States.
States, yeah.
This guy, me and him out of Buffalo.
Hey, you should have seen us pull up to the border together, sitting in the same pickup truck one day.
Oh.
Customs says, "What are you doing in the same truck?"
Yeah, both come because they knew our trucks crossed there.
Yeah.
We had, well, I had 47 at one time. You had,
Well, we got up to 120. But,
yeah.
Well, not trailers, 120, but we had 80 trucks.
Yeah, no, but back
wasn't
just
me.
with you.
Yeah, just with
when you
me.
had
I
your
only
own
had-
truck,
I
you had
only had
25.
25.
Yeah. So, but our trucks crossed like every day, you know,
We
like
come into
so
customs together
knew.
in the pickup truck.
They didn't even look
Said-
at fake paperwork.
The guy
See it, like,
says, "What are you two doing together, sitting
yeah,
side by side?"
because I was Baker, he was Hiltz,
yeah.
but they just seen him every day. So then he got in the garbage, and it took off from there. And we started hauling the U.S., and I did that for 25 years.
Incredible builds that you have been known for.
Well, my 82 was basically my first truck, my 82 Pete I bought from a friend of mine. And I started showing all over the U.S., like Louisville and Vegas and blah, blah, blah. And I got in with the American crowd. And at first they looked at me and like, what's this Canadian guy doing here? Like,
Louisville, especially.
and
right?
then I started winning and being a Canadian guy, but they really took me on and accepted me. I was one of them, but because Americans don't like to lose, and I'm a Canadian. But I have so many friends now in the U.S. from all the showing for 20 years. With my 82 Pete, it's quite an icon in the U.S. I sold it probably 10 years ago. It's still around, it's still running. The guy every day, my buddy seems to, is that you? Is that you, Bill? Is that it's just trademarked. He never painted it, he never did nothing, never changed it. And so they all think it's me, right? So I started with that truck, and then I started building trucks, and then I built a hot rod, took it to Louisville. I built it on my own and type thing my way, and they wouldn't even let me enter it in Louisville. It was different, because I have, some of the guys say to me, Baker, you always come up with different shit. You build stuff that nobody else, but you build different stuff. I had suicided the doors, and I extended the hood and this paint job, and they didn't even let me in. He said, you know, we don't have a class for that. And then I got mad at Louisville, and I didn't go for like 5 years. I said, screw you
I remember
guys.
that.
That truck sat out there in the parking lot, and everybody goes, why is that truck sitting there in Louisville? They wouldn't let me in her. I know the girl's name. I know her to this day. She jokes with me because I was so mad at her, I dropped my pants, and I stuck my ass out at her and mooned her. And she'd taken a picture of it. She says, I remember, I still have that picture of you mooning me. And I said, like, kiss my ass, I said. And about 5 years later, I built the Bullnose, cab over Kenworth, and Bud Farquhar that ran Louisville. He called me and said, Billy, we really want you to bring that truck. We want you back here again. I said, all right, Bud, for you, I'll come back. And then I started going back. But that, I said, I'm only going on display. I'm not showing. I have nothing to prove no more. So when I go anywhere now, I just go on display. I don't enter the show. I did all the polishing inside of the frame and cleaning, and I'm tired of it. Now I'll just go on display. Enough people I don't need to compete with anybody. These guys are, you know, and I'm old now, so I just put my stuff on display. Just like this truck. I mean, I just built this truck. I didn't pull the motor, nothing. I worked around it and this, that, and from the ground up, and made everything correct. And you know what? I'll park it on display. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But it's very rare. Factory V12 two-stick A model Kenworth.
Where did you find it?
I found it out of the ATHS book, like just thumbing back through ads. And I went back like 4 years, and I seen it in there, and I called the guy, and he still had the truck. And he wanted a lot of money. I made him an offer. He got mad at me because he said, oh, they're bringing big money. I said, well, not like the kind of shape yours is in. But it was
4 years.
Back 4 years. But so he still got it. I said, well, that's why you didn't sell it. I called him in a year, like throughout the year, about a year and a half. He wouldn't answer my phone. He must have remembered my phone number. And at COVID, just when COVID started, I called him back. And I said, Dave, you still got that truck? He answered the phone. He said, yep. I said, you want to sell it? He says, yep. I said, you remember what I offered you? He says, yep. He says, and I won't take a nickel less. I said, Dave, I'll get my shit together, and I'll be down there in 2-3 days with a step deck for my price, what I wanted, because he knew the price. He remembered. He said, not a nickel less. It's okay. I'm fine with that. I got this, and I got it together. I took the plate. It wasn't even plated. It was sitting in the garage. Took the plates off the dump truck, the Kenworth, and I put it on here. I got my step deck, and I went all the way down to Wichita, Kansas to get this truck. Yeah. Because he bought it. It came from Colorado. And he bought it, and he had a feed lot, and he fed cattle and stuff, and he used it to haul hay. But the feedlot closed down with COVID and everything else, and blah, blah, blah. The cattle, the slaughterhouse closed down. He was sitting with he says, I need money. So I ran right down and picked it up and gave him his cash, and I come home with her. You know, and then rebuilt it. It was just a red day cab, you know.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
And you did this whole build
in about a year and a half. Myself, me and my buddy.
It.
No, it was this long.
Huh?
Yeah, it was this long. So,
5 and 4?
me and my buddy, there's a very good friend of mine. He's been with me like 35 years, Jack Spiker. Yeah. My mechanic, he's just like my right arm. He is just the best thing since sliced bread to me. He's been with me, and I have an attitude a lot of times. He just lets it roll off his back. He rebuilds my motors, does my wiring.
We're divorced.
Yeah, we're still not, you know. But Jack Spiker is just me and him. In the wintertime, we build them.
That's enough about Jack in this video.
No, I never mention. You know what? I never do mention
I
Jack.
know he's a good mechanic.
You know, and he is probably the best mechanic in North America. And he's getting old too. And I said, Jack, this is it. No more. He says, yeah. I said, no more, Jack. He
See,
says,
I don't know if I believe that when I walked by.
no, he's tired too. I mean, no, this
what
is my.
What in this, Bill?
Huh?
What tranny? 5 and 4? No.
Actually,
4 and 4? 6.
it was a 6 and a 4.
6 and a 4.
Yeah.
And what'd you put in it?
It's got a 15 over and a 4-speed auxiliary now.
Oh.
So
What?
15 over.
it's got a 15 over
But
and a
where's
4-speed
the-
auxiliary
Where's the
behind
high
it
range button?
on the dash.
Oh.
See, it said high and low.
Yeah.
I put it on the dash so I didn't have it on the stick,
Yeah.
and then the deep reduction's on the top of the dash.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of a little trick thing. But like I
Yeah.
said, the guys say, you
Yes.
build different stuff. I built the bullnose, I built the hot rod.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to do what everybody else is doing, you know, type thing.
I'll get it.
And it's like these emblems on the truck. If you turn around and see that Kenworth emblem, this is a 99, but it says Canadian, and people go like, why? Where'd that come from? Well, from about 1965 to about 1973, when they were built in either Burnaby, BC or Quebec. Kenworth, a Kenworth piece. And they put that on the truck. They used to signify the American Kenworth and the Canadian Kenworths. If they were built in the US, they were different. That signified that came out of a Canadian plant. That is a Kenworth part and part number. They're like hen's teeth to find anymore. But every one of my Kenworths, I said, I'm a Canadian guy. I'm a Kenworth that has to have that. This one has it on it. My other A model has it. I buy every one I can find that ever comes up for sale. I paid dearly for them, but they're very rare. But that signified that it was built in Canada. This truck was not built in Canada, but I'm just saying I built it. So I'm the Canadian.
Rebuilt in Canada.
Rebuilt, yeah.
Yes.
So
Wow. So how many trucks have you built, like, to this extent?
I don't know, 6 or 7. My Western Star. Yeah, probably 6 or 7, you know. My friend Calvin in South Carolina from K&L Chrome Shop.
Well, you know the deer is.
Him and Pickett, they all went on a Discovery Channel had a truck show where they showed building hot rod trucks. They wanted me to go on with that show with them, like for ideas and stuff, and I didn't want to. Then Discovery had come to me once and wanted me to do one of my builds, tape me with one of my builds, and I just said to them, I said, you're going to be with me like 2 years. Like these guys say they build the trucks in 7 days, 3 months. You're full of crap. You can't. That's not possibly done. So you'd have to film a bit. I said, take me 2 years. I said, no, I'm not interested. I said,
And I have to put that bleep button somewhere easy to find.
exactly, because you can't build a truck. There was a truck built, and they said they built the truck in 7 days, and I commented on Facebook, and I said, you guys are such a bunch of liars. They threw me off the thing because I spoke the truth. There's no possible way. I know what it takes to get parts, build parts, people to get you. You just can't do. You can't build that quality in 7 days. Don't give me that crap, you know. So me myself, couple years, you know, it takes picking away at it after supper and 4 hours a night, Saturdays, Sundays, and still working. And
Do you have
you
any hobbies?
yeah, building trucks. I don't want to tell you the other one because I've been divorced a couple times over it. But no. So yeah, this is it. This is my last build. I'm happy. I love my trucks. I love trucks. There ain't nobody has more pride in trucks than me. I mean, but and coming out and meeting everybody, you know.
That's
So,
the best part of them.
I don't get out very much anymore, but I still, they're like you. I've known you for the last 3-4 years. You're like my American show guys. I don't see them for a year, 2 years, and we're like yesterday we
Nothing's
seen
changed.
each other. We're buddies. You don't have to talk every day. You don't have to, but we know when we see each other, we're buddies.
I'm glad that's on camera.
Yeah, it's like you. When I seen you, come over, hug, kiss on the cheek, but I haven't seen you since spring. And it could be 3 years from now.
And it had been a couple years because of COVID and all that.
Exactly. And that's how all my American friends are.
Here's Miss Flatbed Red.
Holy crap. Get away, because I'm not, you know, I'm doing an important interview here. Yes, yes, and I shouldn't. So that is enough.
It is.
But those are my American friends. They accepted me,
Oh, yeah,
and I love them dearly.
I almost
I love them dearly, you know. And they are the same back, so, you know.
That is perfect.
Just leave your hat
It'll be
on.
tight the first
Just
time,
leave
but oh,
your-
happy days the
That's
second.
right.
But now you don't have to open the hood or nothing, I don't think. They've changed the pre-trip, eh?
Now you
Well,
have
it
to
should be
put
American.
everything. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. for
American.
me.
American.
Well,
We're in
we're-
Canada. Yeah.
Yeah, like I
are
wouldn't
in
know. I
Canada.
wouldn't know where to start.
What were those two guys that drove around in that furry bus? What was that movie?
Oh, the movie for the Reba bus?
No, the furry bus. They went to the ski resort that looked like a dog. What was that movie? Those two guys.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, Dumb and Dumber. Is this Dumb and Dumber? Hey, think it's half. They're Dumb and Dumber.
How many years? How
87?
many years altogether now, though, Billy? I'm like 49, 50 years, eh? Look at these safety awards.
Well, yeah.
I didn't know where that was going. When
That
you
comes
stood up
from-
and lifted
Yeah.
that
You
shirt
see?
up.
You see?
Well, they have years on them
You know Markel Insurance. I told you about the sticker. I forgot.
for
to tell you
safe
this.
driving.
So every year the insurance company give you a safe driving award. But my dad, 88 years old, had these all the way around his belt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say 6 years,
But
10
that's
years,
when-
20 years. Yeah,
That's when pride was in this
Right.
business.
those are
right?
the cool little pins.
Yeah. You got
I
some?
think there's. Well, I think in my thing in there.
This is an old story about a fella that I was working in the garage when I was 12 years old, 13 years old, and he called in from a company, Mel's Express. He called in from Cochrane and he said the truck won't start. Mel said, just leave it running. Just come on home with it. We'll fix it when we get home. So he come in the yard Saturday morning. I was in there at work and overalls on. And I seen Mel go out the door on a run to see this guy. And he had the starter was hanging on the ground wire almost to the ground. Great big starter on the max,
Oh.
24 volt starter.
They weighed 100 pounds.
Oh God, I can't believe it didn't short out. Anyway, he drove in the yard with the starter hanging off the wire. He was a French lad, and he says, "You're working in the shop for 3 months," he said, "to find out how these trucks work. You're gonna find out. You're grounded from driving until you know how to fix and do a few things on these trucks," because he didn't know nothing about
Right.
trucks.
And
And
that's
he come in the shop and he worked and he learned. He knew how to take those. He learned how to take those, the two-piece rims apart
Uh-huh.
and be safe about it and chain them up. We used to chain them, right?
Yep.
The rims.
yeah, night all night long. Left signal,
Shut the
one
headlights
flash.
out. Yeah.
Hey, it's like
Yes.
you're waving at the buses
Yeah.
would do it.
Bus
One
with the left
signal.
signal light on.
Yeah, one signal.
Yeah. One signal.
that
That's
means-
to tell you
yeah.
there was no smokies ahead.
And the other trucks, no, that was just hello.
Well, I thought it was.
No, that was hello. Like, because you
Yeah.
couldn't
Oh,
see a
yeah,
wave at
yeah.
nighttime.
Yeah.
It just flashed the left signal light as you passed the other truck or whatever, and it was
And
like,
and
I
going
don't.
south, you held the logbook up in the window.
Yeah.
I remember the old man doing that. Hold the logbook up if
Yeah.
you're checking down the road.
Yeah,
And if there was
because
no
you didn't have
cops,
CB. You never
Hey,
had none of that shit.
What was the motion for wind her up? Remember this in the window?
Yeah,
They did that in
Yeah.
the window. Wind her
And
up.
then-
Just to look at black
Making
smoke or
money.
No, there's no
something?
cops.
No cops.
No
Yeah.
cops
okay.
ahead. So wind her up.
yeah,
That meant wind her up.
yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
Those were the good old days.
Yeah. Holy
You
man.
know.
My boys will never see that.
No,
You say hello to somebody now, they're stuck for an answer.
fuck. Before they'd stop and help you. Now they'll stop and run over you.
Run over you.
Yeah,
They'll
fuck.
only wave if you're in a cab over, I've learned.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, they don't care.
No,
Just leave the
Is
truck
he
running.
gonna-
eh?
I don't know.
So we
Because
get
I'm not going anywhere.
I'm in
unless
the
he
yard on
fucking says
Saturday
he's gonna
morning.
tell the
He
story.
hates me now. He loved me about an hour ago, and now he
I
hates
always
me.
love you, Red.
Yeah. Just hate me right now.
You gotta get all of it out of him. Like,
That would be a
ran.
long time.